So, that video cut off, and I told you that I probably thought this would be long, and it is. So this is the second part. But I was talking about the Sabbath and how there were a couple of times that God confirmed for me that He did want me in this walk, and the time that I remember the most was I was driving back from the Torah study. I think I had taken my own car that week for some reason, and I was coming back, and there was a festival in town, and it was like a storytelling festival, and I was kind of like, I would work a lot, but I never really did a lot outside of work, and I was thinking, man, why do these things always have to be on Saturday? Kind of feeling sorry for myself, and so I turned in, and I decided to just hang out for a while, and I was thinking no, I wouldn't normally do this. I would just set aside the entire day. I just wouldn't feel right about doing anything else really than just setting aside the day for worship and rest and just fellowshipping with people, studying the Word, talking about the Lord. So I did that, and I just kind of ignored my conscience for a little bit until it went away, and then I met this lady, and I kind of struck up a conversation with her, just just talking about things that I used to care a lot more about, like art and stuff, but it just kind of wasn't the main focus of my life at that point, because I was still honestly trying to learn how to walk this walk, and still doubting the Sabbath, sometimes, and things like that, and so I didn't feel safe to be going out and fellowshipping with people that weren't in the walk at that point, but I did anyways, and so I was just talking about work and a lot of career type things with her, because she was a face painter, at who would go to a lot of festivals, and the other people that I talked to were authors and writers, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, and just kind of dusting off some of my ambitions, kind of doing my own thing, and so while I was there, I met her, and she was like, well, hey, I'd like to teach you how to do the face painting thing, and maybe you can go to festivals with me and make some extra money and doing all this stuff. Well, I'll come to find out, all those festivals are pretty much over the weekends, so that wasn't really an option for me, so I kind of got myself into a corner, and it was really hard to get out of, and it's kind of the story of my life. God gets me out of things that I get myself into, but it wore on long enough where by the end of that relationship, it did not end well. It was she was mad at me. She had some mental problems, and so a lot of times she couldn't remember things, and anyways, but it just did not end well. And so after that, I was looking back, if I hadn't turned in there, if I had just gone home, done what I would normally do, and follow my conscience, and keep the Sabbath the way that I was convicted to, trust that, then I wouldn't have had to go through all of that, and it just did not go well. So anyway, that was a painful lesson, and then there was another time that happened, but a lot of times I would think, well, why don't I go ahead and do this on the Sabbath, and then no, I just couldn't feel right about it, and I think the first couple of months I was basically praying every week, God, please help me keep Sabbath, God, please help me, because I just thought that I would wander away from it, and just, when your flesh wants to do something else, it's just tempting to say well, it doesn't matter so much, or justify things, or sometimes I'd really want to cook or bake something, and it would be I knew that it would take 4 hours or something. It would be some special thing, roasted chicken, and I would have to choose between one of my favorite things, which is cooking, and keeping Sabbath, and just enjoying quality time with God, and So it was a very long process of learning to keep Sabbath. And I finally, like, recently just sort of backed off on telling myself how to keep Sabbath or what to do, and just gone back to the very basic, which is the Bible says, that it is a covenant between him and his people forever. So it's a really special thing. It's about relationship. And then also that the one thing that sets it apart is the cooking thing. There's no cooking. There's special Shabbats throughout the year that are high holy days, and you can cook. And so someone showed me recently that the one thing that's different is that on Shabbat you can't cook. You shouldn't light a fire. And so I've just gone back to the very basic of doing that, because I got off into Judaism for a while, and it was kind of fulfilling to me to study, well, here's some practical steps, just do these things. And then after a while, after quite a long time, God convicted me that, there is a type of belief that you can do self-correction, and that you can handle your own sanctification by just do this or do that. It's all about your willpower. And then I realized how much that's just like about you. It's about like what you can do, as opposed to learning to depend on God, which has been like the main thing that I've been learning the last couple of years. So he definitely wants us to depend on him and trust him. And so just being brought into this walk, the Sabbath has been the main thing that I've, like, step one, I've had to focus on. And then there were other things that changed in my life as a result of going to this walk, and blessings. But I've definitely grown so much more than if I had stayed in church, and just been content with that, and not pursued and tried to find the answers to those questions that I had that weren't being answered. And so that's kind of my testimony in a nutshell, and there's a ton more, but I don't want this to go on forever, so maybe I'll make those into separate videos sometime. So thanks for listening.